there was a mass walkout or a massive amount of people that was trying to express themselves and have something done, but they were not organized. The whole purpose in this meeting now is to organize this group, and what we have done is brought together basically 5 regions into this new group that's being formed, and to give it the organizational structure so we won't have this thing where individuals are speaking from one, say, basic place like Birmingham, and then another one speaking out of Mobile, and another one speaking in the northern part of the state, or either, for example, in the Phoenix City, Georgia region. It's to bring everything together to have one unified voice. This thing that started with this over the gas prices and everything, which affects not just the truckers, but also the average citizen in Alabama and all over the United States, which was shown. This thing now is given the idea to start an organization, a structure, to represent these independent operators all over the United States. We're going to do our part by organizing in this region and the southeastern area, and we're going to tie in with others if they're compatible with our feelings and our desires. And this is the main purpose, and this is what will come of it.
Do you hope to get a rollback on the fuel prices, or is this out?
This is not out. I think that under the proposal right now, the American people are going to realize, especially after this organization is brought together, that this proposal giving the 6% surcharge to pass on to the companies or the freighters thing is going to go right back to them, and you're increasing your inflationary spiral, whereas the purpose of the independent truckers was to bring this back to the oil companies who are showing this excessive profit.
First of all, you have to recognize that there is a shortage. And when we're talking about 100% allocation for the truckers, we're talking about taking it away from somebody else. Because under the federal mandatory allocation program, there are categories of users. For example, agriculture is authorized 100% of current needs. And then, of course, if the truckers were authorized 100% of current needs, the deficit would result in somebody not getting what they needed. And as far as the rollback is concerned, I think the truckers have a meritorious argument about needing some relief. They're caught in a crunch between increasing costs and no increase in the rates that they're allowed to charge for their services. So they need some relief. But if the supplying oil companies were to roll back their prices and give to the truckers every penny of profit they made on a gallon of diesel fuel during 1973, it would amount to less than 2 cents a gallon. So then who do you want to make up the difference? Do you want the farmer to make up the difference? Do you want the homeowner who's using diesel fuel or heating oil to make up the difference? It's a matter of economics. It's a classic case of economics.
Capsule form explain to me what you...
Mr. Pottinger apparently is saying that the people of the city of Montgomery cannot have an election and let a majority of the people make a selection as to who will be their mayor and their councilman. He says that everybody should be able to run, apparently he's saying, and that whoever gets the most votes wins. And in my view, that simply is not constitutional. And we're going to test it. And some of the folks that are in opposition to this bill have said some things like this, and we're just going to simply clear the decks and make an adjudication of it before the courts, before we file the petitions. Once it's taken care of and the question is answered and we all understand just exactly what Mr. Pottinger was saying, and the very fact that we're asking questions about it here today shows that he is a bit confused, and I think sometimes Mr. Pottinger might have been smoking some of it. I don't think he really understands himself what the letter said.
Said what you're going to do.
All right? I will keep you informed on the status of the situation. It is my prayerful hope that the change, which is in my opinion badly needed, a change that would mean so much to all the citizens of Montgomery, will not be strangled to death by a bureaucrat's red tape. Thank you.
Well, of course, the houses are a form of documentary history. They're part of our heritage, they're part of our tradition. They represent a continuity in the life of a town, and I think Montgomery is proud of its tradition. It deserves to have about it the physical evidences of its heritage. This is, as one person said, our national patrimony. This is our local patrimony. And for this reason, I think we ought to be very careful about not tearing down indiscriminately. We also should consider the fact that the life didn't end in 1861 or 65. We separate our history by calling it antebellum or postbellum, and dwell perhaps too much on antebellum history. The buildings that were built in the 1870s, the 1890s, even in this century, 50 years from now are going to be 100 years old, and that's, for so long, was the great criterion, if it's 100 years old. And it does not make any difference whether the architecture appeals to me or to you. It appealed to the people who built the houses. And each generation rather reacted against the previous generation. They're doing it today. Children never quite appreciate their parents until it's too late. The reaction against the columned mansion was a style of architecture known as Queen Anne architecture. And instead of having great large columns, they had little spindly posts with just piece after piece of millwork, of turned work, the exact antithesis of the severe Greek Revival style. This is not particularly popular at the present time, and yet it can't be reproduced. Mm-hmm. And therefore some examples of that style of architecture should be preserved, simply as part of a documentary of life in Montgomery.